Our last practicals for this course is an exercise in email tracing. Just as a post office postmarks a time and location on each letter, emails are marked by the servers that process them. We're going to look at a letter that we received from Sergeant Cole Andrew. It's in an email. Sergeant Andrew writes, "Good day and compliments. I know this letter will definitely come to you as a huge surprise, but I implore you to take the time to go through it carefully, as the decision you make will go off a long way to determine my future and continued existence. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Sergeant Cole Andrew, a U.S. Marine Sergeant serving in the 3rd Battalion, 25th Marine Regiment that patrols the Anbar Province, Iraq. I am desperately in need of assistance, and I have summoned up courage to contact you. I am presently in Iraq, and I found your contact particulars in an address journal. I am seeking your assistance to evacuate the sum of $2,900,000 US to the States or any safe country, as far as I can be assured that it will be safe in your care until I complete my service here. This is no stolen money, and there are no dangers involved." Now, this letter looks to be well written. However, it brings up some concerns with me as I read it. It doesn't seem to use American syntax, so I'm concerned that Cole Andrew, which is a very American name, that he's actually a U.S. Marine. First of all, he starts his letter off with "good day and compliments," and I don't know anybody who starts a letter that way. He summoned up the courage. That's a little formal. So I want to know, is he really emailing me from Iraq? And how did he get my address in Iraq? So the first steps in tracing an email is to find the sender's IP address and then trace the IP. All right, Internet Protocol address, IP. What exactly is an IP? An IP is a unique identifier that can tell you what computer sent something, but there's problems with IP addresses. There's two types of IP addresses. You have public IPs, which would be the numbers that will be unique on the internet. And then we have private IP addresses, which are our IP addresses behind our gateway. So in your home network, maybe even in your business network, you'll have an IP that's something like 192.168 point, and here it varies between 0 or 0.1, and then you'll have point, and it's going to be a number between 0 and 255. It's going to be between 0 and 255 because we're using an 8-bit address here, and hopefully we all know how to count by 8s because of computers. You have 8 gigs, 16 gigs, 32, 64, 128, 256. Well, I said 0 to 255, but if you realize we start with 0, then 0 to 255 is 256 numbers. If you want to, in fact, I encourage you all to pause the PowerPoint here and click on the link for this video. This video will explain even better what an IP address is, as will this one. You need to watch this video as well. These videos explain IP addresses. Okay, to find the IP address on email, we need to open the header in the email, and every email service has a different way to get to that header. I'm going to give you an example of getting into the headers on 3 of them, and if you use a different email than these, you may have to search Google a little bit or click around on your interface. But in Yahoo, you would click the little down arrow by the settings button. It would open up a drop-down menu, and from the drop-down menu, you would choose View Full Header. And when you click that, it will open up to something like this, and you will see IP addresses, timestamps, and other information. In Gmail, you click the down arrow for the drop-down menu next to the reply, and you will click on Show Original, and again, it opens up a new tab or a new window that will show this list of your body will still be there. You can scroll down and still see that body of the email, but up above you'll see all the information that was embedded into that email as it traveled. In Hotmail, you would right-click on the message in the message list and then go down to View Source. And I know Hotmail has changed so much since here, and it's now in an Outlook form, so you'd maybe have to check around to see how you can get to that view source. But the end result is still that you would see the IP addresses and the times. Let's talk about Dmail, because hopefully we all have a Dmail account that we can get into. This is an email that I got from Dixie a couple of days ago. Well, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Looks like there's D-Week, they're going to have a car giveaway. This is exciting. So I open up Show Original, and there I have the IP address. So did this email really get sent to me from Dixie College? I can go to a website called ipaddress.com, and I can type this number 144.38.8.10 into that. So here I am at ipaddress.com, and it gives me these details. It says that 144.38.8.10 is located in St. George, Utah. And then it says, when it was looking at that information, they can tell me that this IP is tied to Dixie State College. So this email was sent to me from Dixie State College. I can also say, well, I want to know who I can get a hold of to talk to, because in reality, the internet can give me a lot of information, but not as much information as, say, a person can. So if I need to get really information about this email, I'm concerned about the content of it, or I'm concerned that maybe it's a scam or somebody's trying to do something, I would want to get a hold of the person who's in charge of the internet, the network over at Dixie. So I can go to a place called whois.net, and I can type in dixie.edu, because remember that email came from, I think it was Dale at dixie.edu, right? So I'm looking after the @ and I see who's providing the email, dixie.edu. So on this whois.net, if I scroll down, I see that Dixie.edu is registered to Dixie State University. There's the address, and look, this has already been updated to show that it's Dixie State University, so I'm happy about that. I go down and I see, oh, there's Jerry Matson's contact information. There's a telephone number for me to get a hold of him. There's an email. If I was concerned, I could email him and say, hey, I got this email saying, oh, we're going to win a free car, but I think it might be a scam, and he could give me information regarding that. I could also get a hold of Craig Southwick. So let's go back to that Sergeant Cole Andrew email, and I look at the very top, and I can see that he's using a Gmail address. Well, a Gmail address, because they're so universal, I'm not going to be able to get a hold of Gmail and say, hey, Google, tell me who's running this account. Tell me some information about it. They're just not going to know. But really, I want to read this header information from the bottom to the top, because the first things that are added are going to be added there at the bottom. So as I peruse it from the bottom line looking up, the first IP address I come to is 180.74.137.238. And I can also see that this is connected with something called ishtanastore.com. And I can see up there's another email by ishtanastore.com. So that's interesting. Now, if I take that email, that IP address, and put that IP address into ipaddress.com, this is the IP address, the very first one that we found, it's going to show me that that email was not sent to me from Iraq, but was sent to me from Malaysia. So right away, I know he's not telling me the truth. He said, oh, I'm emailing you from Iraq. He's not. He's emailing me from Malaysia. And I can look up whoisishtanastore.com. As I look this up, they tell me for complete details, go to GoDaddy, because Ishtana rents their servers from GoDaddy. And then again, here I have contact information. If I need to get a hold of Ishtana Stores, this is who I would contact. And I've got phone numbers there, and I've got email address. I am concerned, however, anytime you see Gmail email addresses, those are really going to be more difficult to trace. Okay, so the first, here's a list. This is a very good list of how we go about the investigative steps in tracing an email. We get that email header information. We determine the source IP address, and then we trace the source IP address. We've done that. We locate the hosting service. The hosting service, in this case, we went in the Dixie case, we went to just straight to Dixie. We said, oh, that's the mail server right there. On the other example, the hosting service was probably GoDaddy, and then we went down to the Ishtana stores. For determining the mail server, really you're looking at who is that comes after that @ symbol. At Gmail is going to be hard, but there's a lot of other smaller servers that are going to help us out. We can request the source information from the hosting service. So in the case of Sergeant Andrew, even though he was using the Gmail, we did find another hosting service that he was going through. And then we can research the additional information from public sources like we did with the whois.net. Okay? And we can also, on the requesting the source information from the hosting service, we could also contact those network supervisors and say, hey, do you know anything about this account? Especially if it's a small mail service where it's like at dixie.edu, or it's a business that's set up their own mail server. And when we work with that, that's called social engineering. If you're going to be an investigator, you need to be able to talk to people and gain their trust and get them to help out of a sense of civic responsibility, because a lot of times we're dealing with laws and red tape, and a really direct way to deal with these things without getting steeped in law and everything else is just through social engineering. So social engineering is IRL. It's in real life. It's actually talking to people, contacting real people, persuading people to assist. It comes in handy to know who to contact. Sometimes it's best to follow the money. Who is your subject of interest paying for their email service? Who is your person of interest in contact with? Some GoDaddy provides a lot of really large servers. They're not going to be able to help. Ishtana stores might be able to help a little bit more, but like I said before, the biggest clue is what comes after the @ symbol. Email investigation always has a lot of challenges. There's a lot of ways that people can spoof IP addresses that can conceal their identity online. Why don't you pause the video, the PowerPoint right now, and watch this news release of Operation Delago. Another thing that you can do to double check is to send out what's called a web bug. Where is your subject opening their email? So maybe they're spoofing their address. Maybe they're making it look like they're coming from Canada, or they're coming from England, or that they're coming from someplace other than where they are. If you send out a web bug, then when they open their email, you'll get a report back and it will tell you where they're opening their email. And at this point, they won't be trying to hide their identity or hide their IP address. So there's a good website online to do this. This is called getnotify.com. If you can go to getnotify.com for this exercise, for our practical, you'll need to set up an account here. It's free of charge. So you set up for your GetNotify account. You can use your Dmail. You can create a brand new email if you'd like, if you don't want this associated with your personal email. And then you come to this next screen. It used to be a little tricky to use this this web service. They've now made it easier. So rather than going through step 1, step 2, step 3, after you click on, at the very top on the banner, click on track email, and you'll get to this page. Read the note at the very top, and it tells you that the process below is an older method of doing this, and that if you're a new user, don't use that method. It's much easier once you have this service and you've registered for the service, and you've got to register to the email that you're going to use. All you have to do is type in who you're sending this email to, and then after you do the @ dixie.edu or whatever you're sending it to, you just add another dot, type in getnotify.com, and then when they open their email, it will come right back to you, the IP address that they used to open their email. Pretty slick. And then you log back into your Get Notify, and you can go to your Outbox, and it will give you the results of who's opened it. It'll tell you who's opened it and when they opened it, and it will tell you the IP address of where it was opened. All right, that will all help you in your practical, which for that practical you will all be receiving a copy of an email that was sent to our victim, and you'll get the opportunity to trace that. Good luck.